game on Sunday, man. I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. That place was rocking. Anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Bucs fans were there too. The Bucs.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron Show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little clear. But we're joined by Pat
It looks like
Donovan.
Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like we got a little.
No, my camera's broke.
Howdy ho, howdy hey, how the hell are you? Welcome into the Buccateers. Sheesh, I promise you that intro will be retired soon. But nonetheless, we're here with the great Gene from Buck What You Heard on another great edition of the Buccateers podcast. I just want to say thank you to everybody. Sorry that we moved the show from Monday to Tuesday, but, you know, life happens, and sometimes you got to do what you got to do. As it looks like J-Lo is crawling in here as well. We got a lot to talk about today. It's Combine Week. Could you believe it? It does not really feel like it's already Combine Week. I mean, we're already in the thick of the offseason, guys. It keeps on moving. Crazy, crazy, crazy. We got a lot of Bucs news to get over. Big-time player getting released. Contract talks with a lot of players flaring up. We got an ex-NFC South quarterback causing controversies galore at his football camp. Oh my, oh my. We got so much more. Former Bucs head coaches becoming college offensive coordinators, former Bucs quarterbacks becoming football quarterbacks coaches. We got so much to do, so much to talk about, so little time. So I'm going to stop yapping, and we're going to get with the fellas here now. As Cleveland Me's joining us, everyone is now locked in their chamber pods. Yes, sir. Gene's locked in. J-Lo's locked in, and Tones is locked in here as well. Well, actually, two people have to start, so we'll let Gene start. Gene, how the hell you doing, brother?
All right. Peace to my people. How's everybody doing out there? Glad to see you. Cleveland Me, good to see you. And I'm excited, man. A lot of stuff going on in the NFL. A lot of interesting things have taken place in this offseason already. And, you know, as we talk about coordinators and other position people moving and taking jobs, whether it's in the NFL or in the NCAA, I'll definitely have some things to say about that. But glad to be here with the fellas, man, and I'm really enjoying this.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have you. You bring great fun to the table, including every Thursday's the Hot Seat Challenge with Gene. You don't want to miss that on Thursdays. Always a good time. 1 minute, tons of questions, and a lot of good answers there. So look out for that on Thursday, and we're going to have an announcement about that at the end of the show where Gene's going to take over and share some stuff. J-Lo, are you there, brother? I see you're in the atmosphere. I don't know if you're there because you're on daddy duty in that picture. I love it. But how you doing, brother?
Doing good, my man. Sorry I ran a little late, but I'm here. I'm ready to talk about football. Lots to talk about, man. A lot of things have happened today, a lot of occurrences and stuff.
Yeah, we're not like some pods that get all frazzled when someone comes. I'm going to fine you 1,000 pesos, brother. That's what we're going to do. And, you know, get some margaritas or cocktails with that. No, I'm kidding, brother.
Always tip your waitress. Don't forget that.
Yeah, always tip your waitress. Very important. Speaking of tipping, sounds like the Bucs are tipping the white flag to a certain player. Christopher Cole says, evening, fellas. Evening, Chris. But, Gene, we're going to cut right to the chase. Great Buccaneer, longtime Buccaneer, Shaq Barrett. 5 years now. Could you believe it? Seems like just yesterday.
I can remember when they announced that they were bringing him in and how excited I was. I felt like he was playing behind some really good players in Denver, and he just needed an opportunity to shine. He didn't let us down. And he really, again, our general manager and the talent evaluation we see, I know we talk about it week in and week out, but there are so many different examples that you can look at. And the fact that Tampa went out and got Shaq and brought him in, he became part of our community. He became part of our family, and just everything. We went through the ups and downs with him and his family. He had lovely wife. Just everything they've gone through, we've kind of ridden that roller coaster with them, and um, I'm really saddened to see him leave. I understand the NFL is a business, and again, you never know what can happen in the future. He could end up back here again, but he's been an integral part of the success that this defense has had since Todd Bowles has been around. So I'm happy for him, and hopefully he finds success wherever he goes, even if it is Kim coming back here possibly.
And Gene, just to get your thoughts on this as well, we got him in for so cheap. Do you think that was Jason Light's best free, not a trade, but do you think that was his best free agent signing as a general manager in Tampa?
I still think it's JPP, third round pick. I don't know where you do better than in the productivity that the Bucs got out of JPP, and he was close to home, being he went to USF. So I really think that he knocked the ball out of the park on that one. But again, close, really close. Bringing in a Shaq Barrett. There are some other ones that we can. Ryan Suckup was another good free agent acquisition.
Really good.
And I can tell you that Ryan Suckup made Bucs fans forget they had kicking problems for over a decade, or almost a decade. So I mean, Jason Light has made some great moves, but I'm a defensive guy. I love the defense. And, I think Shaq Barrett and JPP are two of my favorite free agent moves.
So if your overall favorite's JPP followed by Shaq, I think I could probably get behind that, partly because it was a homecoming for JPP, right? Like
Yep.
that's the most incredible part. And he overcame so much with the firework incident. I know Shaq has now of late too, but when we brought him in, he was just a lower profiled guy. J-Lo, what say you, my friend? It sounds like Gene and I agree that maybe one of the best signings was Shaq Barrett, one of the better trades, JPP signing. Are you with us? Do you think it's Shaq Barrett?
Yeah, it was pretty tough. I mean, we all saw it coming. We knew he was going to be one of the cap casualties, and he was a bid steal, the free agent signing, just one of those hidden gems that Jason Light ended up picking up on the cheap for the first year. And hey, he got the bag. He got paid like the last 2 or 3 seasons. I mean, he's earned every bit of that paycheck. I mean, coming back from a torn Achilles is not easy, and then plus the tragedy of his daughter passing last year. God rest her soul. But for the most part, I mean, the fact that he could come back, and you gotta give Jason Light credit. I mean, he was real class when he made the phone call to Shaq Barrett and told him he was gonna be most likely released, but possibly we will let have you back, on the circumstances and stuff like that.
Yeah, and we'll see.
I want to kind of chime in on what J-Lo said, because I think that's exactly, you're spot on, my friend. But the fact that they did it so early to where Shaq could get an opportunity to latch onto another team and get his bag again if the opportunity presented itself, or he could end up back here in Tampa. He left all his options open. I've seen so many teams that hold on to a player until after the free agency frenzy is over and then let him go, and they really don't have a place to go. And you see that from a lot of front offices throughout the NFL. Again, the Buccaneers continue to show that front office is just a class organization.
Yeah, and I agree with that on multiple accounts. And the thing is, even Jason Light today, on top of, reiterating what Gene just said, hey, we're releasing him so he could go get the bag if some team wants to throw it at him. But still, Jason Light left the door open a little bit if he did want to return to Tampa, if things didn't work out in his favor. And Shaq Barrett's wife ultimately did as well. On Instagram, she reshared a post of a Bucs reporter pretty much saying Shaq would be open to returning to Tampa down the road. So never say never, folks. People could be shocked, but a re-signing could happen down the road. Speaking of re-signing, fellas, we got a lot of re-signings in the making going on right now. Jason Light came out swinging today and said Lavonte David, Antoine Winfield, Mike Evans, Baker Mayfield are all already in contract talks with this Bucs team, with Jason Licht, with Mike Greenberg, John Spytek, all those guys. Gene, out of that bunch, whether it's franchise tagged or signed, who do you think is the first one back of the group? And do you think all four of the big four, not counting McLaughlin, we'll get to him in a little bit, we'll talk about him in a little bit, but of all the guys Light mentioned they're negotiating with, do you think we get them all back?
Absolutely. I have no doubt in my mind. These are all key pieces to the success of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Just looking at free agency, it's kind of hit and miss. My grandma always said, better the devil you know than the devil you don't know. And I can honestly tell you that these guys have gone out and contributed. Antoine Winfield Jr. Was all nose for the ball, always around the ball. Lavonte David, always around the ball. These guys more than prove they deserve the big bag. They continuous play, consistency. And when Lavonte David was drafted by the Buccaneers, I called him Mr. No Plays Off because that's who he was, Mr. No Plays Off. Every time the ball was snapped, that guy wasn't taking off of any plays. He was playing, he was balling out, and he's shown that throughout his career with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And again, this is a guy, it would break my heart to see him in a different uniform. Just like I almost cried real tears when I saw John Lynch in a different uniform, seeing Warren Sapp in a different uniform. I mean, these are, I understand the NFL is a business. Totally get that. These are guys that have really proven they deserve to be here in Tampa and they deserve to get that money.
Built the foundation, right? You know, there's legends and there's great players, but then there's just next level guys, and Mike Evans certainly belongs in there. So does Lavonte David in terms of next level guys. And
very biased about Mike Evans too. So don't ever ask me a question about Mike Evans with anybody else, because Mike Evans is always going to be my answer. So I'm just a little bit biased there.
I mean, and that was Jason Light's first ever draft pick. What a memento that is, right? Your first ever draft pick as a general manager is Mike Evans. J-Lo, what say you? Talking with Bake, talking with Winfield, talking with Lavonte, talking with Mike. Who do you think's the first domino to fall? And do you think we get all four back? I really believe all of these guys have kind of been reported to or hinted at returning at this point in time. Lavonte pretty much said, hey, I'm waiting my turn. Once Light takes care of the big three, he'll give it to me, and I'll be fine waiting. J-Lo, I think it's just a matter of when and not if these four players do return to Tampa.
I feel it all relies on Baker first. I think Baker will be the first one to get re-signed before the free agency starts, along with Chase McLaughlin and Lavonte David. Now, Mike is the big question. I do feel he will be re-signed, but I think he would be the only one I can see testing the market and then doing what Carlton and Jamel Dean did, get some offers, bring it back to Jason Light, and then match it. Realistically, Light has pulled this off for, 2 or 3 straight seasons, bringing everybody back. So I just don't see these guys leaving for other teams at all. And to me, Baker starts it off, and then I think Chase McLaughlin, because I really think he's not going to go anywhere. I think he's fine.
We're going to get into him in a little bit,
yes,
because Jason Light did kind of mention him in a different tone or aspect than the big four. But to your point, yeah, I do think we're going to get it done with all of him, and more guys than that will return. The interesting thing with Light, he's always swung heavy in offseason, whether it's retaining guys, bringing in guys. You know, he's brought in numerous players over the years that have really been great. And he's swung on some draft picks. He's hit on a lot, missed on some. As Kyle joins us, what up, boys?
What's up, Kyle? How you doing, man?
Kyle's awesome. He he's very involved with the autograph game use community. Very good, knowledgeable guys. So if anyone ever has questions
I do have a question. I went to Philippines and got this autographed Manny Pacquiao hat, and it's got the little card and everything with it, man. Actually went to his gym and hit the heavy bag a few times. So that was my claim to fame right there over there in the Philippines.
Yeah, that's really cool. And that was not not that long ago, right?
Yeah. Tempe, what's up, man?
And yeah, that Manny Pacquiao is probably a pretty penny. I mean, best if not one of the better boxers of all time. That's really cool to have his autograph, especially with the COA. So that's a good one. I'll let you know later, Gina. I'll do some research and let you know how much I think you could get for that. We'll probably just take 5 or 10 minutes and see. But speaking of what you could get for that, it's Combine Week. A lot of fun this week. Yesterday started player check-ins for the big boys. And Kyle said, we get an autograph signing with Trey Palmer this Monday. So that's pretty cool. Bucs fans, if anyone's listening to the show and wants to get a Trey Palmer autograph, reach out to Kyle and see how that has to work. Tempe, I'm late, but here. What's up, fellas? Been looking forward to this. What's up, Tempe? Always a pleasure to have you here on Buccateers with the great Buck What You Heard podcaster, Gene himself, as well, part of the program now. But yeah, any Trey Palmer fans, any Bucs fans, boom, you could get.
I would love to get a shirt or something autograph. I like that guy. I always have. Here's another Jason Light special, a guy that nobody was talking about, and he ends up coming to Tampa, and he was quite a contributor this year. I expect big things from him coming up this season.
And I know Kyle did one not too long ago with Kalijah Cansey as well. So you never know who's in store. Maybe he'll get some of our big draft picks. Tempe, I need some Bucs talk. We got some Bucs talk from the Combine today. Todd Bowles and Jason Light are there. Gene, what are your thoughts on kind of just the Combine in general? Do you take a big bite out of the apple when it comes to Combine? And not only that, we send Jason Light and Todd Bowles, obviously. Both guys are on the podium for day one today. Do you think this is a big deal to those guys as well? They've been very open in years past, whether it's been Arians or Bowles at the Combine, about, hey, upcoming seasons, who's in, who's out, and all that stuff, it seems.
I think the interviews are probably the most important part of the Combine. Just talking with coaches and talking with different scouts and stuff. You go to so many college games, you look for players that you feel like meet the needs that you're looking for in the next year. So you're building your draft board, throughout the college season. So you have an idea of who you want. Mm-hmm. And then you get to see some of the measurables. I guess some of the measurables are important to me. A quarterback running the 40 doesn't matter. When we remember Jameis Winston ran 5-something or something like that, but the guy can make plays with his legs. So to me, that his measurables didn't really matter. Again, it's certain players, yes, other players, not so much. There's a lot of quarterbacks that are not throwing this year, but I do not believe that it will affect their draft stock. So I think the interviews are important. I mean, take me for example. I took the Wonderlic test and scored a 35 on it. So, there's that. I mean, again, it doesn't really matter if a clown like me and get a 35 on the Wonderlic. I mean, who cares?
Hey, you're an expert. We're going to call you that, the Wonderlic expert. But Gene, you make a couple of really good points. First off, whether it's a Combine, whether it's pro days, whether it's, Wonderlic, stuff like that. We've seen plenty of examples, whether it's the Jameis example, Zach Wilson throwing off his back foot at like 70 yards downfield. That ends up being irrelevant. CJ Stroud's testing, I forget what test exactly it was, but remember he quote unquote bombed it. Then they came out with the Twitter report that it was the wrong score or something of that effect. So there's been plenty of examples of years past where Combine and stuff doesn't really matter. And as Gene said as well, a lot of these QBs aren't going to throw. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and that makes sense, right? They really have nothing to gain and everything to lose. They're projected top 3 picks for a reason. As Gene said, you really have your favorites already at this point in time. Those guys can do nothing to higher their draft stock. How is Caleb Williams going to hire his number 1 pick projection? It's impossible. Jaden Daniels, he's pretty much number 2 or number 3 in every damn mock draft. Those guys would be foolish to throw. If they have a bad performance, they could fall. If they get hurt, they could fall. If they get a good performance, their stock is not going to rise. To me, that's more for the borderline quarterbacks of the world. If you're a Michael Penix, if you're a Bo Nix, if you're a J.J. McCarthy, if you're Spencer Rattler, those guys should be chomping at the bit to try and perform. But to me, the big three of May, although May is going to go out there and ball, but the big three, they have very little to gain. J-Lo, what say you on the combine? Then we got some good questions here from Cleve and me and Tempe to get you. Going to throw one apiece at you guys.
Oh yeah, I mean the combine's one of the best things of the off season to kind of see what's out there as far as prospects. I'm looking forward to seeing, of course, quarterbacks are always fun to watch, even though the top three aren't going to be really doing anything but interviews. I'm looking forward to the linemen, the trenches, the defenders, like DB, safeties. It's going to be fun to see what's out there, as free agency comes in a couple of weeks. We kind of get an idea of what Light can do between free agency and the draft as far as that goes. But in the meantime, we just watch the combine and see, who balls out.
Yeah, and I hear that, and we got a couple good questions. Gene, going to throw the first one your way from Cleve and me. Do you guys truly believe you can win a Super Bowl with Baker? I do, and probably biased, but oh well. I'll let Gene answer that in more, thorough terms. I'll just leave it like this. We've seen Nick Foles win a Super Bowl. We've seen Trent Dilfer. So we've seen lesser QBs win Super Bowls than Baker Mayfield. Is it rare? Sure. But can you do it? I believe so.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Basically, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers exceeded everyone's expectations last year, with the exception of the hardcore fanatics who said that the Bucs were going to win the Super Bowl last year. So, that handful of people, they were on the right track. They were on to something. I believe that the Buccaneers, if health is huge, health is going to be huge. If you look back at the Buccaneers, when they made their Super Bowl run in 2020, they were a fairly healthy team, and then after their late bye, they got even healthier going into the playoffs. Then you get a Vita Vea back, and it just, that's monumental in them making that run for the Super Bowl. So health is going to be important, and again, anything's possible. I mean, again, I've had to apologize for my harsh takes on Todd Bowles. I've always believed that, I didn't think Todd Bowles was it, but, just based on Todd Bowles, taking chances at times, the fourth quarter Bowles, as I like to call him, there have been a couple of times where he just slapped it on the table and said, let's go. And, they've won these games, where he's shown nothing but confidence, for his team, defense and offense, and they've gone on to win these games. So to me, I'm trying to be as open-minded about this, and I believe that if you have a healthy team, everything is consistent. I think we've upgraded with the offensive coordinator position, considering that our previous offensive coordinator had never called plays in the NFL. We have somebody that's a little bit more experienced playing under an offense that we know is productive and can work, and bringing it to Tampa, and the consistency that you have in the quarterback position, just all you're doing is changing terminology. I really believe the Bucs are in a really good position to where they can go quite a long ways, in this season. Well, I did want to mention one more thing. CJ Stroud, the unicorn, he had the lowest score of 18% out of 100 on a test, and he's not a test taker. But you know what? He basically shot a whole bunch of holes in that test, just showing that test doesn't really mean anything, because you still have to go out and play. And as I always say, he checks up from the neck up, and this guy goes out there and he's mentally tough and he gets it done. And that's the kind of players that Jason Light is looking at, with this combine, is players that are mentally tough.
And a couple things on that Stroud point as well, because it's a good one. A, it didn't scare teams like the Texans off. They're smart. They said, F that, fuck that. We're going to keep this strong here. And B, I think it got reported that they effed up his test score anyway. So who the hell is going to take that. Even if nobody took it seriously before, surely nobody's going to be taking it seriously now, because you can't even believe these test scores. So,
Yeah. And
shame
I'm
on
going to
that.
say this. I'm going to say this. I'm not going to entertain any anonymous GM comments this year and moving forward. And this started with me with Lamar Jackson, and how anonymous GM said so many bad things about Lamar Jackson. Draft stock dropped, and he turned out to be the player that he is right now. So if you're not willing to pencil your name next to what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think I could have said it better, but that's just that. And you get it every year with these armchair GMs, and they want to move draft guys around, draft stock around, when in reality nobody knows, right? Look at the Bucs fans. You had them wanting to tank in the middle of the season to try and move up for what? You draft, let's just say you tank. No, and then you're stuck with what, the 6th or 7th pick. Who the hell cares? Last year, back end of the first round, we still got Kalijah Cansey, So, Lamar Jackson, last pick of the first round. But, J-Lo, this one's for you from Tempe. I trust Jason Light to find that diamond in the combine, to always find one. Is there any y'all think we should watch for in those GMs trying to get other teams to pass so they can pick the player? It's a dirty chess game. But, J-Lo, what say you on that in general? And any diamonds in the rough you think of this combine?
Oh, yeah, there's a few of them. I say be on the lookout for Graham Barton. He's been mocked a lot to us in the draft in the first round. I think he would be a great left guard, putting that between the center, wherever that will be, and Tristan Wirfs. I like that safety, Tyler Newman from Minnesota. I would love to pair him up with Antoine Winfield Jr. Be on the lookout for him, see how he does. But as far as diamond in the rough, I got one. Look out for Lad McConkey from Georgia. He's been getting a lot of hype lately, and I'm curious to see how he.
Diamond in the rough from Georgia. Is that really a thing?
Well, I'm saying, because he didn't really put the stats at Georgia, and he's projected to go in the first round, which kind of catches my eye. And the fact that we got our new guys receivers coach, it wouldn't surprise me. Not saying the first round, but if he falls in the second round, I wouldn't be surprised if Light made that move, even if we have Mike Evans back.
As Cleve and me says, Gene is spot on about his explanation with the Baker situation. Tempe says, I'm biased with Baker also. We share a birthday. He is him. That chip can get us to and win a Super Bowl. We have a young core to add on. And Cleve and me also says, anonymous GM. Who cares? Who cares is right. That's why they stay anonymous half the time. And that's why when we go on Twitter and half these people are upset that people are, saying this and that. Well, if their profile picture is fake or something along those lines.
If it's an egg, man, you're stupid for arguing with them. I'm just saying. There's no point for it. I mean, you've got somebody who's got 23 followers. Hey, you know what? Maybe they should go talk to their 23 followers. Just ignore them. Don't give them that energy. You know what I'm saying? But again, these anonymous GMs, you're anonymous. That means that your heart isn't in it. Your heart's pumping Kool-Aid. You don't really believe what you're saying out here. You're just putting some stuff out there. So to me, when I hear an anonymous GM, it's irresponsible for some of these, I wouldn't call them journalists, actors that pretend to be journalists to go out here and say some of this stuff that they heard from an anonymous GM, and the guy won't put his name by what he's saying. I mean, that speaks volumes about him and his opinion. So I'll just leave that at that.
I couldn't agree more. And for those of you just tuning in, we're doing some anonymous GM talk. No, we're chatting briefly about the combine a little bit, and we're going to go into the schedule right now, the key dates for those interested in learning more about the combine. And it started Sunday with some player check-ins, got a little bit more going yesterday, but today it heated up a lot. You had general managers, exams, you had open to the media, all that stuff. D linemen and linebackers got examined by GMs today, pre-ordered studies and team interviews today. Tight ends and D-backs had their registration today, along with running backs, quarterbacks, and wide receivers. And a bunch of stuff happens between now and Thursday, including measurements on field workouts. You guys could pretty much catch it all on NFL Network. Then Friday, it really gets going. Gene, what say you? Friday is the bench press and all that stuff.
I have one question. I really would like to know, because I hate tests. I think tests are stupid. Tests are all encompassing, and they really don't individualize tests for the people that take them. So you don't really get a true view of who a player is based on a stupid ass test. I think tests need to be eliminated. It should be a physical trait. And I think the interviews should be tailored to, kind of question the mental aspect of a player, getting to know that player and knowing, hey, how do you handle adversity? You're down 21 points in the fourth quarter. How are you handling this? What are you going to do? What are you doing? Your offensive coordinator's making plays that you don't agree with. You're down 14 points in the fourth quarter. How are you getting above this to break? What are you doing to put your team on your back to get them to get that win? These are the kind of questions you need to be asking. Fuck a test. To be honest, I think tests need to be removed from the combine. There's no place for it. Yeah. And I'm curious to know how accurate are the results of a test as to the career of a player. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I'm really curious to know that, because to me, some people just aren't test takers. I'm not. I struggle with tests. I mean, when I was in college, it was like I had to take medication just to calm my stomach so I could get through midterms. I can get through the finals and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not a good test taker. I just struggle with it. And I don't know if it's a confidence thing or what, but I think that needs to be removed, and they need to focus more on the physical and the mental aspect of it. And I don't think tests really prove anything one way or the other.
I agree with you. Just look at the road. Everybody has to pass the driver's test, and you still got a bunch of jackasses driving around.
They're aiming their freaking car to wherever they're going. They're not driving there.
No, and what did they pass to get their license? A stupid, pointless test that asks you what way you point your wheels, how to do this, how to do that. Yeah. To Gene's point, you got to be asked situational questions. Hey, fourth quarter, you're down 2, 50-yard line, 30 seconds to go, you're out of timeouts. What would you do in this situation? You want to hear what the QBs are able to do in the game of football. As Tempe says, I just want to see the bench work and actually drill. So the bench, Tempe, to answer your question, Friday is D lineman and linebacker bench press. Saturday is D-back and tight end bench press. Sunday is the bench press for running backs, quarterbacks, and wideouts. And then next Monday, March 4th, is the bench press for offensive linemen and place kickers and special teams. And then the actual drill
press for podcasters like me. They had a beer press, or how many beers per carry or whatever. I'm in that. I'm a Hall of Famer.
Wasn't your Twitter name once certain beers per carry or something?
32.5 beers per carry, baby. Hall of Famer.
Oh, man, I love that. I love that. And then Tempe, just to keep you posted, on-field workout starts Thursday. D linemen and linebackers do their on-field workout that day. Then on-field workout Friday is DB and tight end. On-field workout Saturday is running backs, quarterbacks, and wideouts. And then on-field workout Sunday is offensive lineman, place kicker, special teams. So really, between Friday and Monday, you get all the bench press stuff. You get all the on-field workouts and more. And again, that's all on NFL Network. Or you could catch up with your beers per podcast on the Buccateers every Monday and Thursday through the duration of the offseason with Gene from Buck What You Heard, Tampa Tones, and J-Lo here. J-Lo, Justice says Brandon Flake out of FSU is going to make I read something, and I read something about Flake on Twitter a minute ago, and now I'm having that memory. Brandon Fisk out of FSU is going to make some NFL team very happy. J-Lo, thoughts on that? I know you're a Gator guy, but shed some FSU light on us, will you?
I'm an anti-FSU guy. Just FYI, if we hadn't already established that, I would lean more towards Florida than FSU. Just FYI.
J-Lo just liked you that much more.
Oh my god, I'm in love, bro. I love you, man. Go Gators. But anyway, no, but all seriousness, Brendan Face, whatever his name is, I'm sorry if I butcher your name, brother, but for the most part, he's actually a good D tackle. I think he would fit good here if we were to draft him. To me, he's looking like a 4th or 5th rounder. Could go up higher, just depends. But I like some things he did at Florida State. He did some good things. I believe he transferred from a small school or some small college, whatever, to FSU, and he shined at FSU. I mean, I know who he is, but to me, Jared Verse is probably the guy that catches my eye out of Florida State, the edge rusher. I think he's phenomenal. I think he'd be good. But at the same time, I don't think he's going to be the buyer pick. Sorry, Gene. I see you nod your head.
And Fisk started at Western Michigan.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to jump in here real quick.
Go ahead.
But Florida State has been causing division among Bucs fans for I don't know how long. I guess I could probably go back to Jameis Winston. But it's always been, oh, man, Florida State. And people are getting in their feelings because their Florida State player didn't get drafted. And, Jason Licht, to me, like I said, he's done a great job. I don't know that even the Cooks, what was the guy's name? Florida State, the running back that.
Dalvin Cook.
Dalvin Cook. Well, the Bucs missed on Dalvin Cook, but he couldn't stay healthy to save his life. He's kind of faded off a little bit going to the Jets or whatever. But again, you got to trust the process, and I trust Jason Licht.
And remember Derwin James? Everybody melted down about Derwin James too.
Oh my God, I have so many tweets. I someday I'm going to have to show you all I always will save a tweet. I'll flag a tweet if somebody says something. I've got a bunch of them. So when people get in their feelings about who gets drafted, oh yeah, I'm saving your tweet so I can remind you. Just like all these Jets and Chiefs fans that said that Mike Evans was going to be a Jet or a Chief. I've got a bunch of them. And trust me, when he gets signed, I'll be going to visit you guys.
Sometimes you got to pull the receipts out. That was a lovely feeling when we won the Super Bowl.
Gene, get him. Whoop that trick.
All the Bruce Arians haters were eating their words after.
Oh my God, weren't they though? Hey, no salt or pepper for you guys. You're eating it just like it is.
As a lot of Bucs fans, some reason hated him, but Gene and I do have wrestling shirts on as well. So I got a comment on X about that Wrestling Tuesday. Well, we're just fans, so we're wearing shirts.
You know what? It might be.
Yeah,
it might be coming.
Wrestling Tuesday, where we throw in a Royal Rumble type segment. But speaking of J-Lo, I know you said Fisk started somewhere different. He actually started at Western Michigan. He had some action in his life. J-Lo, I'll give this one to you. Cleveland Me says, I think bench press is dumb. What does bench press have to do with anything? Do we now play overtime with who can bench press the most? I think it's more one of those things where it tells you, strong guys. And I know it means less in sports like the NBA to me, where you don't really need physical strength all too much. You just need speed. You need attributes. You need shots. Same with baseball. But hockey and football, to me, bench pressing does mean a little bit, because strength does matter at some points in time of the game, some phases of the game. I'm not saying for everybody or for all positions,
Trenches.
but I think it serves its time and place. What say you, J-Lo? And then we'll get Gene's thoughts.
No, I agree. I think bench press, especially for trenches, linebacker, that to me is very huge. I always enjoy the bench press. I was so excited to see Vita Vea hit the bench press when he did it. I think he got a few good reps. I think he repped almost like 30 reps of like 225, maybe a little bit more, depends. But I always enjoyed the bench press, especially when we draft a guy who, maxed out like 30 to 40 reps on 225, and that to me is strong. And the one thing that intrigued me was Christian McCaffrey when he went in the combine. He struggled on 225 on bench pressing. I think he only got like 7 or 8 reps, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and what say you, Gene, on the whole bench press thing? I think we could agree on the trenches.
Yeah,
more meaningful than kicker.
I think that's where I have it. I think if you're looking at your offensive or defensive side of the ball, when you're looking in the trenches, that's where bench press could be something. To me, again, I really believe the combine is a dog and pony show. I believe a lot of these general managers, they have their draft board set up. They just want to clarify who they're really looking at, who their top tier players are. And to Justice Muhammad, thank you, bro, for checking us out. I really appreciate you. And yeah, every fan gets in his feelings about their team. And it wasn't nothing malicious. I just don't like Florida State. And it has nothing to do with anything. It's just kind of how my mind works. But I appreciate you commenting as always, a longtime listener. And anything you say will always be appreciated, just so you know.
Yeah, and I do agree with Gene there. Justice, I kind of see where you're coming from, but at the end of the day, when your professional teams in the same city as some of these colleges, or same state rather, I should say, it's going to divide the fan base even more because these colleges create rivalries. If the Bucs draft anyone from Florida State, Florida, or Miami, not really so much as smaller Florida schools, but one of those three, it's going to divide the fan base for better or for worse. That's just like same thing would happen in California, I'm sure, if you have the 49ers drafting a UCLA kid or, a kid from San Jose State, things like that. You're going to have these arguments. You're going to have fans that are fans of different college teams throwing their arms up in the air. Hell, you think, perfect example, Burrow ended up being at LSU, sure. But if he stayed at Ohio State, and, let's just say he went to Pittsburgh or something like that. Or, there's a bunch of examples out there. But all I'll say is this. It's a little bit more dividing when it's a Tampa team and you got three big college Florida programs. And it's a little bit more animosity and heat behind those. And, Florida State fans are really vocal for theirs and really against the other Florida schools, and so are the other Florida schools. Maybe not to that extent, but it does have an impact to me. If it's your NFL team in a college town, it's going to make a difference. As Tempe says, I just want to see where guys are. You can sometimes see if a guy is okay with hitting mark or just showing determination. It's just fun to watch. I do agree with that. And then Cleveland Me says it's fun. I just don't think bench press is a needle mover. For some positions, that could surely be the case. If you post anonymously, you have SDE. LOL. I think, what do they call it? We'll save those words for a different time. But Gene, what are your thoughts on the last couple comments we've gotten?
That's kind of where I'm at. I think it's a dog and pony show. I think the end all be all is the general managers. This is my guy. And then there's a couple of guys that they have. These are my guys that I have on my draft board that I feel like they can come out day one and help this team. But we have to get a face-to-face with some of these players. We have to be able to talk to them and ask the questions that we want to know. Do they fit the values of this team? Are they that guy that can come in and just fit in the locker room, help us win, and put us in a position for success, whether it's this year or maybe next year or year after. So to me, I love the combine in that aspect. But at the end of the day, I really believe that these guys have their man already. Tape don't lie. You know what you've got when you look at that film. And the question becomes, can this translate to the NFL? And there will be times where a guy throws a red flag in an interview and you're like, man, I don't know. I liked him in the beginning, but after this interview, he said some stupid ass shit. I don't know if I want this guy.
Yeah. And I'm sure that's happened before, right?
Cannon Fire Podcast. What's up, fellas?
Our guys, Rhett's one of the best, man. I love Rhett over at Cannon Fire.
I missed Rhett while I was in Tampa too, because of Gasparilla and everything. But I'm gonna link up with him.
That's an awesome pod, by the way, man. Awesome pod. I've been watching your pod a lot too.
Yeah, I've ran into Rhett a couple times. I met him at Loose Cannon's golf outing not long ago. Then I ran into him at a tailgate with Jay and Plus and the guys, and It's really, he's a great guy, makes some great content. I know him, goat on a boat. He was the man who helped bring a goat on the boat in the boat parade, for those of you wondering that stuff. So kind of crazy story there. We had him on shortly after a couple of years back to talk about it. Fun stuff. So go check out Cannon Fire Pod. They're great guys. They got a great podcast. They make some great content, hype videos, all that stuff. We're not like one of those podcasts where you can't watch anyone else but us. You got to just, no. You go branch out. You listen to other podcasts. You get your fix in. We enjoy that stuff. Tempe, nothing really.
There's enough good shows to go around, to be honest, man. And that's what I love about our community. You get a different perspective, and you can appreciate it. And again, they've had me on their show, and I've tried to get them on mine but with Rhett working the way he does, it's just kind of difficult. But I love those guys, man. They're good people.
Yeah, I agree with that. Good people for sure. And he says, appreciate the kind words. Have to chat it up soon. Yeah, absolutely. As Emod enters the chat as well, LOL. How we doing, Emod? A great friend of mine comes to Tampa with me, so he's joining in. I want to ask you guys each about a person. We're going to start with Gene and Devin White. No mention of him today at all, Gene. I think it's pretty safe to say he's all but gone at this point. Jason Light's not even bringing him up with the big boy free agents. He also brought Chase McLaughlin up, which I'll ask J-Lo about since he jumped the gun earlier and brought him up. No, I'm kidding. But Gene, give us your thoughts on Stay Live 45. I think he's pretty much out of the building. Bags are probably packed. And if so, where do you think he ends up?
You know what? I loved what he did his rookie season and somewhat afterwards. I will say this, he's done a lot for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Unfortunately, he's just been very inconsistent in what he's done. I mean, I know that you have Derek Brooks. Derek Brooks he's the benchmark for all Tampa Bay linebackers. I mean, I want to put in Hardy Nickerson, but at the end of the day, we talk modern day, you look at Derek Brooks. Derek Brooks was the benchmark. You look at Devin White and what Devin White has done. There were times, and this is going to sound long-winded, but I am going somewhere. Trust me. So when you look at Devin White and what Devin White was able to do when he was consistent, he had Lavonte David on the other side of the ball. When we saw Devin White by himself, he was not the same player as he was with Lavonte David on the field with him. And I would argue this with anybody. So in Devin White's mind, he's thinking, I'm a top 5, top 3, top 2 linebacker in the NFL. But that's, mentally, that's just, kind of where he is. But we've seen him, and there has never been that level of consistency with Devin White throughout his whole career. And I look at bodies of work. I don't look at one season. One season could be a fluke. 2 seasons, not so much. 3 seasons, you're definitely on to something. So when I look at his body of work as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, I think one or two things it could be. He's gotten complacent, or he really needs needs a change of scenery, or I feel like Lavonte David has been covering a multitude of sins that we should have actually seen from Devin White. So at the end of the day, when I look at Devin White, I look at the Instagram and the subliminal messages and this and that and the third. I'm glad he's gone. That's one less headache you got to deal with. That's that beautiful girlfriend you've got that runs her mouth all the time and just ruins your peace. That's what he is to this organization. So at the end of the day, I wish him well. I appreciate what he did for the Buccaneers, but I'm happy with what Jason Light and this staff can do in replacing him and get somebody in that can, elevate this team to the next level.
Yeah, I agree with you, as we got some OGs in the building checking in. Jonas Steckler. Hello, everyone. Go Bucs. Bud Cannibalist. What's up? Peace sign. Tempe. honestly, I have heard zero talks outside Bucks community for Devin White. I listen to other teams' podcasts. Mike Evans, yes. 45, no. I've only seen a pocket full of Packers and Eagles fans kind of wondering about Devin White. But
I can have it.
regardless, he'll get signed for 1 year, maybe 5, 6, 7 million, prove it deal, kind of like a Sean Murphy Bunting. To me, sucks to see Shaq be let go. I know. Yep, we discussed that. We all kind of knew it was coming. We all know it's a harsh business, so we're all sad to see him go as well. J-Lo, speaking of sad to see him go, I don't think anyone wants to let Chase McLaughlin go. Jason Light did bring him up today, not like Devin White. Chase McLaughlin was very much brought up, and Jason Light said they very much so want him back. However, he wasn't mentioned when he's negotiating contracts with people. He wasn't part of the big four mentioned. Do you think that they told Chase to wait his turn and they're going to be figuring something out, or do you think McLaughlin's going to go chase some money after the hell of a year he had, J-Lo? J-Lo?
Truthfully, can you hear me?
Yep.
Can you hear me? Okay, I just want to make sure. Truthfully, it's hard to really tell what he's going to do because not too many NFL teams have a good kicker these days, and God knows, what he's going to do. I think, honestly, he's going to play the weight game, see what his market is, bring it back to Jason Light, saying, here's my market. I'm ready when you are on the offer. That's what I feel he might do. Jason Light is just one of the best negotiators at that. Even if he didn't mention the contract talks, but deep down, he'll get it done. So I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah, and it's really interesting though because the kicker market is rising now after Matt Gay got that historic contract last year from the Colts. How much will Chase McLaughlin want, and will he figure, hey, kicker lifespans are short in the NFL. Do I go get my money while I could? Or hey, Tampa gave me a chance. They gave me a kicking competition which I won. Do I stick with them? We'll see what happens with McLaughlin. But yeah, I think Lavonte's out. I think ultimately McLaughlin is back. Speaking of back, if you're first time here, welcome. If you're back, welcome. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn that notification bell on, whether you're watching on Buccateers YouTube, Buck What You Heard YouTube, the great Gene in the house, J-Lo, myself, Tampa Tones, 4 of us out of the building. But you could always catch us, and it's easier if you hit the like, subscribe, notification bell on. We all do appreciate it. Speaking of hitting like and subscribe, I think World Star got some likes after the Cam Newton video went viral from, a couple of his 7-on-7 camps over the years at this point. This has been one of those things building, a lot of tensions rising. Media is kind of torn over this whole thing. A lot of people were quick to jump on Cam Newton's side. We do want to talk about this if you guys have missed the video. Gene, we'll start with you here, kind of dive into it a little bit, go over details a little bit, and give us your thoughts, because I think you make some very good points about Cam Newton's behavior in these 7-on-7 children. Let's remember, children football camps.
All right. Well, first things first, I appreciate 7-on-7. It gives these young kids, a lot of kids in the inner city, I'm going to say they don't have hope, because they see the same thing over and over and over again. Being able to go and play football or basketball or whatever outlet you have, it gives them an escape from reality.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to start there. I want to shout out Stunna. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, Stunna. That 7-on-7 tournament that you put on was incredible. Getting to watch Peter Blake, shout out to Peter Blake for the interviews he did with some of these young kids, giving them an opportunity to get behind the camera and talk about, who they are, what school they came from. I mean, you don't get that. They don't get that every day. I mean, a lot of these kids are invisible, But to my point here, this 7-on-7 tournament was supposed to be about the kids. It wasn't supposed to be about the adults. And I want to start at the beginning. There have been 7-on-7 tournaments going on in Florida, in Texas, in Arizona, in California for years. And these kids, there's that's the sport of football. There will be trash talking. You if you don't know, now you know. But at the end of the day, these kids go out and they play competition competitively. And a lot of times you become friends, and you are right, or your rivals throughout your career. And so to me, that there's nothing wrong with that. It's good to have that healthy competition. But what we had with Cam Newton, and I'm going to go back 5 years, it was a different animal than your normal 7-on-7s. There was trash talk. Cam Newton trash talking at parents. Cam Newton trash talking coaches. Cam Newton trash talking kids. And there were no boundaries set up. So I'm going to start there. There was no boundary set up because there is no way a kid should be bad mouthing a coach, and there's no way a coach should be bad mouthing a kid. There should be boundaries set there, and that's kind of where the problem started. Now, you set the expectation that, hey, Cam Newton comes in, you're a kid, you say something to him, he can say something back to you, and that's where it goes. The next year, it escalates. And we didn't know the full story. I had to go back and research all this stuff, by the way, just to understand, because it was so weird to me that you got these coaches that attack Cam Newton and just arbitrarily attack him. There has to be a backstory behind this, and to understand that these guys allegedly were part of Cam Newton's team at one point. They've been working with him for like 5 years, and then they split off and come up with their own team. There's a lot of chances that we had here to break this up, to stop this, to not let it escalate to where it did. And unfortunately, nobody did what they were supposed to do to cut this off. Number one, I'll start at the beginning. Coaches and Cam Newton, donating his money and his time to this particular tournament. Right there, Cam Newton should be held here. Everybody else should be below the fray. And so it never came to that. Cam Newton's lowering himself, and he's going back and forth with kids, which, if he's a coach, he should be respected as a coach, and he shouldn't be going back and forth with kids or parents. But ultimately, they set the expectation. This is what you can do. Cam Newton, who cares? Who cares that he's a league MVP? You can go back and forth with him. He'll jaw with you, you jaw with him. And so it got to the point at the end of the day that this could have been resolved, whether it's by the sponsors or the people that are running the show or Cam Newton and his camp. This could have all been stopped, but the way it went was so messed up that, it's an embarrassment for 7-on-7. And this is an embarrassment for the 7-on-7s in Tampa, St. Pete, the 7-on-7s in Miami, the 7-on-7s in Phoenix, the 7-on-7s in Scottsdale, California, all the 7-on-7s. This is a black eye for them because these guys chose not to do the right thing. Okay. So, I know a lot of people are like, oh, Cam got jumped. Cam was running his mouth too. And the fact that his squad could not beat this other squad, that just added fuel to the fire right there. So for all the folks that are saying, oh, these three guys, everybody was wrong in this situation. Nobody was right. There's no exonerating anybody for what happened throughout this whole situation, because in the beginning, it should have been, boundaries should have been set. Cam, don't go at the parents. Don't go at the kids. Don't go at other coaches. You bring your squad out there. If these kids are out there on the field and they're going back and forth, that's cool. That's football. That's what it's supposed to be. But at the end of the day, when the whistle blows, the game's over. Hey, you got to let it go. You walk your way. If your team didn't win, you got to do better next year in the tournament to fix all that. So, in my opinion, everybody was wrong. There was no right in this. And honestly, Cam, everybody talks about, oh, Cam fighting all these. No, it should have never came to that. I mean, you talk about the people that are setting up the schedules. if you know there's drama between Cam's camp and this other camp, you got to separate that. And the coaches for the other camp that were doing the fighting, if you know that you're in your feelings, you don't have any business being in this tournament. Go to another tournament. Fly your kids to Miami or Tampa or St. Pete and work out in that tournament. There's so many alternatives here than to show up and fight and put a black eye on 7-on-7 sports. But that's it for me.
J-Lo, thoughts on all of that? I know it's a lot to unpack, but then I'll give my thoughts. But I mean, I couldn't have said it better than Gene. And shout out to Stunna. I want to shout out Stunna as well. But thoughts on the Cam Newton situation, J-Lo? Do you now see it like Gene? I know originally maybe not, but how do you slice the cake now?
No, I mean, Gene pretty much put it all out there in perspective. I feel like there's a lot of immaturity going on. It could have been handled better. And it's embarrassment. And I feel bad for the kids that had to watch that whole thing go down. I mean, it's just flat out horrible. You know, wherever happened to sportsmanship, honestly. You know, not. I mean, I know these kids are playing for a future, but they're not really playing for money or anything like that. It's just, you know, I mean, it's supposed to be fun, right? And it's supposed to be fun while, you know, getting your name out there. I mean, that's the way I look at it. But I agree with Gene, though. I mean, it could have been handled a lot better. And just, you know, it's just going to be something that's going to be talked about for a while on those 7-on-7 and how they can make it better. You know, be a better example for those youngsters and show that, you know, there's much more than just throwing fist fight over a simple 7-on-7 game.
Yeah. And I don't know. And I showed the video. I sent some videos over. And you saw Cam Newton bring his squad over, and they're going Ayo, and they're bad mouthing this coach. And then, you know, it's just back and forth, the disrespect, the slander. It should have been shut down. There should have been boundaries. Hey, if they're talking trash on the field, I'm good with that. Hey, if you can't stop me, I'm gonna continue to talk trash, or vice versa. And that's because we saw that with Cam Newton. We all know, you're a Bucs fan. You know Cam Newton is a front runner. And you punch that fool in his mouth, he's going to put that towel on his head, sit on the bench, and act like, you know, he going to act like somebody took his date at the prom. He does that all the time. But when he's winning, he's dancing and he's smiling. He's talking trash, blah, blah, blah. But when he's losing, Cam is a totally different animal when he's losing. Mm-hmm. So all I'm saying is, you know, for Cam should have just, you know, hey, I'm the coach. This is my team. I represent this team. I represent this league that we're doing here, and you're messing up your bag. So go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I jump in quick, and I agree. And to piggyback off Gene before he gets back into it, he's let this behavior happen for years now and never really stepped in and put an end to it. And now, you know, he's one of those guys who's getting a lot of, you know, backup in this situation. But if you're going to let these shenanigans happen at your camps, that's troubling to me. And it's happened for years. Gene kind of put a bow on the thing in general. As much as I'd love to talk fight night with Cam Newton all night, we got a lot of Bucs stuff to get to still.
Oh, absolutely. I will say this. They really need to set boundaries. Kids, hey, leave the talk on the field. That's the only place the talk needs to be. Coaches, you're not playing. Shut the hell up and coach the game. Coach the game. And if you're not good enough to coach the game, or your players are not good enough to execute the plays that you're putting out there, there's a fundamental problem there, and that's what you need to be talking trash about. It doesn't need to be, oh, well, they did this or they did that. And, you know, who cares? These kids need to learn respect, man. For me, I would be running the bleachers till the day I died if I badmouthed the coach. I'd be running bleachers. I would not be on a team. There is no way in hell that I'm sitting here and I'm going to say anything negative to my coach or an opposing coach in any capacity. It's not a thing. In this tournament, they set the bar to where, oh, you can say nobody is off limits to say something about. And that is a recipe for disaster because somebody's going to get in their feelings. Somebody's going to somebody's going to be hurt and it's going to escalate to where it shouldn't escalate to. So that's the end of it for me. Set boundaries. We've got beautiful examples. Stunner and what Stunner was doing in the 2-day 7-on-7 event in St. Pete. Folks, I will be there next year, guaranteed. I will be talking to these kids. I will be filming, and we're going to do a whole lot more. It's going to be bigger than it was this year, and I promise you it's going to be a lot of fun. That's just speaking for St. Pete. But the 7-on-7 tournament in Miami, you got some dogs in Miami. I'm telling you what, South Florida football players ain't nothing to play with. I'm here to tell you, Texas and California, y'all on notice. I'm telling you, South Florida ain't nothing to play with. So just so you know, there are other examples of players that go out and they talk trash on the field, but they leave it on the field, and that's what it should be. It should always be like that, regardless of where you are in the country, because it's a good reflection on what we have here and what these kids want to become as they grow up, and we're giving them opportunities and we're giving them a chance to do something exciting with their life.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Gene. I mean, you just hate to see it, right? You give it's just sad to see, especially in a sport I love so much, and the youth have such a big part in the sport. They're the future of the sport, and you really hope that it's in good hands and they're playing out there. These 7-on-7s are huge. And as we brought up several times, look at Peter Blake giving these guys a time of day to ask him a couple questions, going above and beyond and making their experience feel right at home. And it's just sad to see it's not happening with Cam Newton's camp, who was such a big NFL player. He should have all the resources and money and attributes that you need to have to probably run one of the better, if not the best potential 7-on-7 camp out there. And he should have some, other people helping him. Instead, it seems like he just can't keep his name out of trouble for the worse in these 7-on-7 camps. J-Lo, put a bow on this thing and, we'll move on.
I mean, pretty much Gene put it in the perfect perspective on everything. Leave it on the field. I agree. And just show good sportsmanship. I mean, just be thankful you get to go out, have some fun, show your talents, and when it's all said and done and over, if you had a bad day on the field, use its motivation to get better. That's the best way to go about it. I was on the wrestling team. I was one of the worst wrestlers my first year. What I do, I got better the second year and I kicked ass. Simple as that. That's the best way of using, turning negativity into a positive. Don't let all the trash talking ruin your day. Yeah, they can talk on the field, but when it's all said and done, guess what? You got something to work on, be motivated to be better.
As Pops chimes in on Twitter, Cam just is like a little kid. He never grew up, could have been great for a long time, and that's the thing with some of these NFL guys. You see the glimpses of greatness, but a lot of them have a ego, and Gene was right on the head where Cam's one of those guys where he'll bark and bark and bark, but then the minute you lay him down, he'll kind of step down and things like that. But what are we doing at center, O-line overall? Baker just needs maybe an extra second or two. There's still a lot to be determined on that. I think we're going to end up getting one new interior O-lineman, whether it's left guard or center, and Hainsey will be the other one, left guard or center, whatever we don't get. Maybe sign a veteran there or here as well. But I do want to ask Gene. Go ahead.
Quick, to Tempe's question here, you have to get past free agency. Mm-hmm. There may be a gem. There may be a hidden gem in free agency that the Bucs may be looking at. We don't know. I think right now what you need to do is take care of the players that you want to bring back, and then it opens up a clearer idea of what you want to do in free agency, and then from there, then you look at the draft and you're like, okay, these are the people we brought in. Let's see who we can draft to bring in to better this team.
Yeah, you really do have to wait a little. Free agency is the first tough.
It's not a cop out or anything like that. I'm just saying it mentally. That's how I'm looking at it. You gotta sign your guys that you really want to sign. Then from
Yes.
there, you want to look at the free agents that are available, and then from there, you can adjust your draft board accordingly, and then that's where you're looking at. This is who we want to bring in, and on top of that, hidden gem, there could be something in June. There could be a cap casualty in June that the Bucs can pick up. So just where they are with the cap compared to last year, they're in a lot better position to make some moves and really improve this team.
J-Lo, thoughts on Gene's comments quick? I generally agree, a little too early, but if I had a guess, I would just say, hey, Hainsey's probably one of the two. And, like Gene said, it's just too hard to tell right now. Not a cop-out answer, but you can't really tell, until things get going a little bit, how it's going to play out.
No, I agree. I mean, Gene put it in the best perspective. Re-sign your guys, the players you truly want, and then go from there. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of talent in the free agent market. There's a lot of talent in the draft. But right now, the main focus that Jason and I put out there is bringing back our own guys. Bringing back Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, Lavonte David, Antoine Winfield. I mean, these are the main guys that Jason has
The
focused
core
on.
four, I call
them. Agreed. But also, Jason Light made a fun comment, which I thought Peter put out there. He's like, if he can resign all 5 of the guys he mentioned on extensions or resign, then they got to throw another boat parade, I believe is what he said. So that to me shows that you got to start with your guys first, bring back the guys important to the team, and take it from there. And we got 2 weeks to find out, fellas. We got 2 weeks where we really know who stays and who goes, who we bring in. Because you know how the first couple of days go. They go rapidly on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it.
It's Twitter.
Twitter.
Okay, Twitter. But at the end of the day, Gene put it in the best perspective. Resign your guys that we truly
And happy birthday, Chris Godwin, before I forget, not to cut you off, J-Lo, but just dawned on me. I seen a post out there, and it said, happy birthday, big man. I believe he's 28 today. That's hard to believe. He's grown up right in front of our eyes, been an integral part of this team since 2017. And really, between him and Mike Evans, we've been very lucky with such little wide receiver divas. Usually that's a position for whatever reason to cause a riot or a stir. And we've seen some great ones do it before. Antonio Brown's, Randy Moss, Terrell Owens of the world, you name it. But we've been so lucky with Evans and Godwin, blessed. Real quick, I do want to just get thoughts on that. Godwin's birthday, Gene, do you think he's a Buck as long as Evans is?
I believe that he is. I think they complement each other very well. And I really believe that this offensive coordinator will get more out of Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. And again, this is no knock on Canales, but it took Chris Godwin's wife to bring up some things about how him not being used like he should have been before things started changing for Chris Godwin. So I really believe that you have a more advanced offensive coordinator who's able to call those plays and take advantage of scenarios on the field. And I really believe I'm happy with the move to bring him in. And again, not a knock on Dave Canales. He was a newbie as an offensive coordinator. And I think that, the people in Carolina, don't overthink this. Don't overcook the grits, because this is who he is. This will be his first time as a head coach. So you got to be patient with him.
Yeah, I agree, and you're gonna have to be patient, just like we were. He came on a little bit at the end, but still, I think there was meat left on the bone, and I'm excited about.
Absolutely.
This offensive staff. I think is gonna be great and improve. J-Lo, thoughts on Godwin? Will he be a Buck as long as Evans? And I love this guy, man. I love Godwin, what he brings to the table, and all that.
Absolutely. I mean, he's a true professional. The man does a lot of good work around the Tampa Bay community with the Humane Society. I believe he has a charity for the Humanes that he does with his wife. I'm very thankful that we have 2 awesome non-prima donna receivers over the years. And that's one thing I respect about Chris Godwin. The only major question about Chris Godwin is, can he stay healthy? And I think he can. I think he will. As far as Liam Cohen calling the plays, who I agree with you, Gene. I feel like Liam Cohen's much of an upgrade compared to Canellis because he's done the
Yeah.
play calling before, and I think he's going to execute the run game better than Dave Canellis did on that point.
Situational football.
Absolutely. That's why I'm so thrilled with the new staff they brought in. I feel like it's going to be a more improved staff built around Baker to make him successful.
And I do just want to throw this out there and say this. Although we don't have too much time left on the pod, there are tornado warnings brewing in my land right now. So if anything is to happen, if I am to cut out, you know why. I'm not just fading into oblivious. But we are on the Buccateers with Gene, J-Lo, Tampa Tones here. As Tempe says, Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are the best wide receivers and wide receiver duo we've ever had. Yeah, it's debatable. Godwin and Evans, or Evans and Vincent Jackson, are really the only debates to me at that point. But we've had all three for 1 year. We had all three for one season in 2017. So, I do think Evans and Godwin, are the best combo, as well as Tempe says, please be safe. I appreciate that. These tornadoes, they hit a little area, but the area they hit always gets so destructed and destroyed.
Tornado Alley, buddy.
Exactly, man. I'm right in the middle of it. So you'll see me here. I'm confident we'll be good. I do want to get a basement. Yeah, I'm in it. I'm in the Buc.
Oh, okay. You're safe, man. Okay, you're good. Keep it going.
Exactly. Yeah. If the roof gets ripped off, I'll still be here potting.
Yeah. So, for real.
Man, I do want to ask you guys this. We've seen a couple of ex-Bucs names, coaches, players, prolific names get hired today in the world of football. Gene, what intrigues you more? What interested you more? Dirk Koetter being named Boise State's offensive coordinator. So my understanding of that is Koetter already retired. He was in the booth last year. He did some late night West Coast games, but they just gave him a rare 1 year contract where he's kind of going to come in and tutor a younger guy. But you never know. Maybe he falls back in love with the game. But nonetheless, Dirk Koetter, 1 year contract, offensive coordinator at Boise State, or Josh McCown, former Bucs tank game quarterback, getting named the Minnesota Vikings passing or quarterbacks coach. And oh, by the way, Drake May played for Josh McCown when he was a coach in high school. Drake May was actually his quarterback. So is that interesting at all? We'll see. And good job, Bud. I forgot. We'll add this one, and it didn't happen today, so it wasn't at the top of my mind. But Ryan Griffin, coach and role in Chicago. He's an assistant quarterbacks coach. I guess Italian football didn't go too great for him, sadly. But, Gene, out of those three, we'll say Ryan Griffin, Dirk Koetter, Josh McCown, which one intrigues you the most?
I would have to say Josh McCown. And the only reason I say that is the guy has always been, he didn't have the physical tools to be that elite quarterback, but mentally he understood the game. And when I wasn't wanting to launch his ass into the sun, I watched him and, watched how he could actually read a defense. And I know that goes unnoticed because of, his body of work, but he could actually read a defense, but physically he just wasn't that guy. You know what I mean? So I like the idea of a Josh McCown because I believe that he's in a great position and a great division where he can really improve on what he already does good and just take that to the next level. So I would say in this order, I would say Josh McCown, then I would go Ryan Griffin, and then I would go Dirk Koetter in that order.
J-Lo, what say you? And I think Gene did a great job digging into the McCown one, and I think he's intriguing as well. Remember when the Texans almost hired him as head coach out of nowhere, and everyone was freaking out because he had such little experience? It would have been interesting. They probably would have never got D'Amico Ryans if they did that, right? So everything happens. J-Lo, how you ranking him? 1, 2, 3, Ryan Griffin, Dirk Koetter, and the great Josh McCown.
To me, I gotta say Dirk Koetter. I'm happy that he's back coaching again. I felt he did have some bright spots in the coaching world as far as offensive coordinator and play calling. That to me is number one. I hope he's successful over in Boise State as offensive coordinator. Maybe he works better with the college kids than the pros. You never know. And then Ryan Griffin, happy for him. I feel like he's going to be a good mentor. Like you said about Josh McCown, Ryan Griffin was the same way. Physically he couldn't, but I felt like he understood the game to a certain point, and I think he's going to be a great. I think he's going to be a good coach. I think he's going to be a good developer, whether it's Caleb Williams or Justin Fields in Chicago. And Josh McCown, oh man, it's really hard to like that guy to what the trauma he put us through in 2014. But I am happy that he's going to be coaching in the pros. I feel like he likes to mentor, young quarterbacks. So good for him overall. I'm happy for all three of them, but I'm more happy for Dirk Koetter that he's getting another shot at coaching again.
And I'll be the odd peg. I'll just, for better or for worse, and I'll just more so do it to talk about it. But I'll say RG4, Ryan Griffin. I'm intrigued by this one for multiple reasons. A, he did sign to be the Italian league quarterback. I forget what team exactly in the Italy Football League. I think it's coached by his brother, or his brother plays over there as well, one of the two. But nonetheless, Griffin actually left in the winter to go over there. I think it's only a 4 or 5 game season. And I don't think he's going to finish that season because obviously if you get named a coach, the Bears probably want him to start coaching right away, right? So Griffin's going to have to come back across the pond from overseas, get accustomed to coaching. And oh, by the way, not that it was likely, but when you become a coach, what does that do? That definitely spells an end to your NFL playing career. Ryan Griffin officially retired by making this move. Hats off to the big guy. And I'll say this, the Bears, that might have been one of their brighter moves they've actually made this offseason. Really. Because, you have a young guy. They hired Shane Waldron as their OC. Who's to say that Shane Waldron, who's one of the most hot and upcoming names in the offensive coordinator realm in the NFL, if Bears do wonders next year, say Shane Waldron gets a head coaching gig, maybe they'll promote their QB coach to OC, or Waldron would poach him. And then you got a guy like Ryan Griffin, who's still young, waiting around on your staff. He's been around Tom Brady. He's been around Jameis Winston. He's been around quarterbacks who are prolific, who've had success in their past lives, especially the best of all time. Oh, he's been around Bruce Arians. That might help him. This guy's been around of a lot of good players, a lot of polarizing figures. And I think Ryan Griffin's going to be an incredible coach. And he was pretty much a coach with his time with the Bucs, right? He had a couple snaps in a 2019 game against the Indianapolis Colts. But other than that, the duration of his tenure was practice squad quarterback, which ain't a knock on him. I think he's going to bring a vibrant coaching change to the Chicago Bears. Speaking of change, we change things up on Thursdays. Couple fun segments every Thursday, Thirsty Thursday, on the Buccateers with Gene from Buck What You Heard. We do the hot seat challenge every Thursday, and I think Gene has an interesting twist before we get to our final word of the program. Gene, do you want to shed some knowledge on what we might be doing with that moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. We want to get the fans, the listeners, because without the listeners, this show wouldn't be anything. And so I just would love to get your thoughts on, questions that you would hot seat questions you would like for me to ask, or you would like for maybe the Buccateers to ask me, just to, kind of spice it up a little bit. But normally I would be asking the questions. If you want to, you can email questions to, to buckwhatyouheard@gmail.com. Or if you're following me on Twitter, just hit me up in the DMs and I will mention your question and I will mention your name along with the question at the end of the contest, just so you get credit for the questions that you're asking. And what I'd like to do as we get closer to the regular season, again, these are our OTAs. These are our training camps right now. We're going to try some different things, but I would love to get you guys more involved. I think it would be great to get your questions. Hey, ask this question and see if we can stump him with this, or whatever. Again, if you hit me up on Twitter, on DM me on Twitter, I'm always going to respond. And I've left my Twitter open to just whoever, just because I like hearing from people and I like engaging with people. So I think it'll be fun. There will be some free swag as we get closer to the regular season, whether it's Smack Apparel or the Bay, for the Bay. There will be something out there just to kind of get you guys more engaged with us, and so you get to appreciate this as much as we do.
And we got a lot to give away here as well for NFL draft season and all that stuff. We did some fun holiday giveaways. But yeah, we're going to put a link in the bio. That's a good idea. Maybe I'll create some sort of Dropbox and put it in the file moving forward. But I assure you guys.
And to Tempe, to answer your question, it's going to be like buy or sell questions. Like, for example, Tristan Wirfs, is Tristan Wirfs a lifetime Buck fan, buy or sell? Or just questions like that, just something that whoever is being asked the question, it's kind of tough, but they have to answer it.
Yeah, like random, but this would be a good one if I'm learning correctly from Gene. Will Mac Jones ever be a starter again in the NFL? Yes or no?
Yeah, buy or sell. There you go. Will the New Orleans Saints be in contention for the NFC South? Contenders or pretenders? That kind of stuff. Just, little, basic questions that can possibly stump whoever's being asked the questions.
What is your routing number? That question will not be too much on there. That's funny though, bud. You crack me up. As he says, bye, bye, bye. What is this? The Backstreet Boys? Bye, bye,
yeah,
bye.
That's what I'm thinking, man. What is this?
That's insane, bro.
Hey,
Or
Boy
is it
Band
insane?
Tuesday.
Whatever the hell it is, maybe I should know that as my cousins in the band Rise Against. I should be a little more up on my rock game potentially. But fellas, we are nearing the end here, but as Gene said, we're in OTAs. We're going to have a lot of subtle, nothing crazy, but we're going to be experimenting. We're going to be trying things again, working on a new intro, working on some other mini intros. We might be coming with you with YouTube shorts in the near future, some 1 to 2 minute videos of Buck stuff during the off season. As Gene said, be on the lookout for a call line as well. It might be segments, talking with Gene where you call him the show. Gene will answer. We'll all talk about it. So
I'm really hoping that people will join. Will try to call in. That's the big thing. Don't be afraid to call in. There's no wrong answers here.
Hey, Pepin Steppin knows my cousin. He goes vegan band. Absolutely. My cousin Joey Principe, and his, not to change the subject, Gene, but his band Rise Against, they are all vegans actually. So kind of cool that Pepin Steppin knows that. Small little story before we get to our final words.
You're not a vegan though, right?
No, I'm not a vegan. My uncle was called, because we just had a funeral the past week, and my cousin who's in the band, his sister actually passed away. Condolences to my cousin Andrea. But he was eating Subway in the back, some vegan sub or something, and my uncle looked at him and he's like, isn't it weird being vegan? Are your kids asking him all kinds of questions, grilling him? And, it would be tough. But thank you, Pepin Steppin, from knowing my cousin's band, and he'll call in from Canada. You do have a package on the way as well, but maybe we'll get you something else as, Rise Against history. But yeah, vegan and me don't match. Gene, speaking of don't match, the pay stub don't match the payroll. Hour and a half now at this point. It is a busy Tuesday. I know other Bucs pods are rocking and rolling right now on the airwaves as well, but everyone is in the good spot right here. Buccateers, Buck what you heard. Holla at me.
I'm selling on that salad sandwich. I'm definitely selling on that. So
I'm selling. No pun intended. Salad. I'm selling the salad.
I'm selling it cheap too.
I'm saying I'm paying you to take it from me.
Exactly.
Gene, not salad related. Get into some good meat. What's your final word for the program, brother? As we're eclipsing the hour and a half mark. Crazy stuff. It's crazy when you talk football with your brothers, the ones you love most. Time just flies.
I love this concept, and I won't. I really hope to be. Permanently will be on Thursdays. Definitely. This is an opportunity for me to get in on a Tuesday, which could end up being a Monday as we get to the regular season. But I'll try to be on here as much as I can. I love the concept. I like that my listeners still get to come in here and contribute, and I love this, man. There's enough room for everybody, and I want to thank everybody in the chat personally for engaging with us and having a good time, man. That's what it's all about. And listening to me on my stupid soapbox and what I had to say, which doesn't amount to much. And I've just enjoyed this. I think this is a great concept, and we're going to continue to evolve it and make it better and make it fun for everybody.
Gene said it best, and as he said earlier as well, we're gonna, from now until next year, we're not stopping. We make it when we can. That's why there's 7 of us, right? We make it when we can. We always give different opinions. You guys will never be alone. We'll always have a couple guys here with us. But as Gene said, we're gonna be doing great giveaways, t-shirts, maybe Smack apparel, who knows, but maybe Buccateers stuff. We do have a lot of Bucs memorabilia as well. We're gonna help grow the show, and that starts with you guys, and we appreciate each and every one of you. And it's really cool getting Gene's listeners, getting Buccateers listeners, kind of seeing that collab come to life. It's really been great. Guys like Donnie Pepin, Olivia, Justice Mohammed, Cleve and me, Bud Cannibalist. It's been amazing. And we're going to get some great guests as well. Let's just say Florida International outside linebackers coach, now promoted to cornerbacks coach, Anthony Gator, former Buccaneer, will be joining us this offseason. We're going to have special guests from different teams joining us this offseason as well. As Tempe says, it's a fun community. Appreciate you all. I need this break every week. We appreciate you joining us every week, and never be afraid to come to the Buccateers with questions, with comments on how we can help improve the show as well. J-Lo, final words, brother. Take us home. And go Bucs, Tempe says. Absolutely, Tempe, go Bucs.
Nah, man. Thank you for all the commenters. Sorry, my words here. For all your support for the show, and I enjoy talking about football with my brothers in here. And we're gonna have a fun off season. Just keep showing your support. Watch our shows. Pass it around. Tell the people about us, man. We love our team, and go Bucs.
And if anyone's ever because by the way, new listeners or new watchers, I do get some questions at time. Hey, you're on your phone a lot. You're looking down a lot. Well, I'm looking up, breaking news, and I'm sharing our link out as well. So I'm trying to grow the audience. I'm looking up news to see if it develops or happens. And you guys would be surprised how much news actually breaks randomly over the year, just when you're doing a podcast, a little thing here, big thing here. But I'm trying to keep up with that. So, I'm not trying to be rude or anything. I apologize if it comes off as that. But if I'm ever looking at my phone or something, it's useful for the show. It's not like I'm answering a work email or I'm texting my girlfriend, hey, what's for dinner? Stuff like that. I'm trying to help get news into the show, or share our link to the show, tweet about it, Facebook about it, all that good stuff. Gene and J-Lo in the house on behalf of Stunna Cats, Huncho, Bucko. Any last words, Gene or J-Lo? It's been another fun, usually Monday, but this time it was a trippy Tuesday. Yeah, let's roll with that. I'll take it.
Hey, happy Taco Tuesday to everybody. I hope you're eating a taco. If you're not,
yes.
That's all I have to say, buddy.
Or Tweez Tuesday, right? Taco Tuesday, Tweez Tuesday. J-Lo, any last word, brother?
Club going up on a Tuesday.
I'm trying to expand everything, my belt size. That's funny.
I love Justice. Justice is awesome, man. If you get to ever interact with this guy, look out for him on Twitter. Great follow. I love that guy.
Justice, follow me. I'll follow you back. You seem like a fun one. I'm at Tampa Tones. Gene's at Buck What You Heard. J-Lo's at Something Wild. J-Lo 1990 all day. We got to work on that. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. But honestly, follow any of us. We love interacting with you guys. Us three, the 4 other Buccateers. We love it. Follow the show at Buccateers, Buccateers. We'll be back here Thursday, as Justice says. Yes, sir, we'll do, bro. Gene, just a great example of a great listener you brought over. I appreciate you, brother. Hope you have a safe Tuesday as well as you, J-Lo.
Take care,
See you
guys.
Thursday.
Yeah, see you guys Thursday. 3-2-1, go Bucs. Touchdown Tampa Bay. Fire the damn cannons. Tones Decker off. Gene, the legendary Gene, the great J-Lo. We're out of here. Everybody enjoy your Tuesday. Tuesday. Geesh. Time's flying, man. God bless and enjoy. Peace out, everybody. Thanks for watching. Fire the damn cannons. Go Bucs. Game on Sunday, man. I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. That place was rocking. Anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Buck fans were there too. The Bucs.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron Show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little cleared. But we're joined by Pat
It looks like
Donovan.
Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like we got